What's up, guys? I'm now live here in the bait room. It has been a while on YouTube, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. Try to get this camera adjusted a little bit. I'm going to change some settings here and get this thing back to normal. Or thought I was going to. So, yeah, here we are. Let me see if I can fix this with orientations right, where everybody can see. The orientations right, where everybody can see me normal, and that may not happen. Everything may still be backwards. So make sure you oops, that's not it. Make sure you leave a nice note that way I know we're here. Now we can read the Styx on my hat. Alright, now I'm going to get into my YouTube channel here on my page so I can read all you guys' comments in real time. Heck yeah, it's been a bit since I've been on YouTube, and I'm logged in my laptop right now. I got some cool things to show you guys tonight. I've got some new products that I'd like to showcase, and let me mute this down. And then I've also got some cold water baits I want to talk about with y'all. I'm not going to get super specific on each bait or one category, but just give you the lowdown on what you need to look for as far as stuff for cold weather and some tips and stuff I really like to use to catch fish in cold weather. And maybe I could have done this video later in the year, but the weather here in Kentucky's really turned in the last 4 days from kind of in the high 40s, low 50s to it's like 34 degrees outside right now. It's like almost freezing. So, what's up, KVD? I'm going to go through comments and say hi to everybody. What's up, Paul, Chris Morrow, Blake Hutchins? How you guys doing? What's up, Tyler? So, if you're first time joining in, which it may be, it may not be, make sure you hit the subscribe button for me if you're not a subscriber. I got to open the new community poll today on YouTube. It lets me create polls. It lets me ask questions. So I'm going to lean on you guys and see what you'd like from the channel. Again, I got a full-time job. I work midnights right now. So I've got a lot of content. I just got to get time to knock it out. The best part is I'm going to be off a lot next week, so I got lots of content to put out, especially from some Strike King guys. So you guys let me know if you want to see a lot of videos from the pros and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not a pro. I just talk about baits, but these guys are going to help you out with setups and tips and stuff like that. The jerk bait over an A-rig right now, that's a good question. I don't have an A-rig here at my house. I pretty much despise the thing. So I'm going to say jerk bait, but let's be honest here. In that late winter, early spring, if you're not throwing an A-rig, you're probably getting your butt beat. But I really like a jerk bait, and I'll get into a couple of jerk baits I like to use this time of year. I know 6 Cents just come out with a new Provoke, some new colors in it. They redesigned the bait a little bit. It's up on their website. That's a really good jerk bait for the money. They don't pay me to say that, but that is a really good bait. Yeah, drop shot and a zoom finesse form. That's a killer. So I got some cool new stuff, and I usually do this on Facebook to bring the new stuff, but I figured since I haven't been on YouTube in a while, I'll let you guys know. First off, you see my hat. It says Styx Fishing, and I've got my rod set away in my other garage locked down, but if you haven't heard of Styx, it's a new company out of California. Nick the Informative Fisherman, Travis Moran of FLW Live, and Lucky Tackle Box. They've created what they feel is the 6 best bass rods, all you need in 6. And I'm lucky enough they sent me a set, and I've been testing them out, and they're really nice. It's $100 a rod, and it kind of covers all the basics of bass fishing. So if you're a new to fishing or know someone new to fishing, high school, college angler that and you're just confused on what rod to buy, you can buy these 6 rods and you're pretty much going to have everything you need to start fishing tournaments with, or just fishing. You don't have to fish tournaments with these rods, but you know, what I've noticed on their rods is for $100, they're built like a $200-300 rod. They're very soft in your hands. They're sensitive, and you've got a finesse stick in your spinning. You've got a utility stick. So that's your first 2 powers. Basically a light and a medium light, and then you go a 3, 4, 5, and 6 power in the casting. You got a utility rod that's a 3 power, that's your medium. Then you got a big topwater rod that's a 4, and then a crankbait rod, and then you got a power stick. And they're all very versatile. You don't have to use exactly what each rod says for, but I've tested about 3 rods and I really like them right now. I'll answer a few questions real quick. I'm going to try to stay on topic for the most part. I don't know if they'll do the shad scales and the provoke. I really like that shad burst color. It's pretty sweet. I have never heard of a double barrel chubby chaser by Caliber Bait Company. But definitely send me a pic. That'd be cool. So anyway, so Styx Fishing, I'm going to be throwing a lot of their stuff this year. I'm about done testing all the rods. So far, they're so good. Honestly, I'd recommend these guys' rods to about anybody. I mean, I love my Daiwa stuff. I love my G Loomis, but for $100, these rods are really good. Styx compared to a Phoenix Feather. That's a really good comparison. That Feather's a really good rod for the money. They're kind of very similar in range. The Styx might be a tad heavier. Of course, Phoenix owns their own blank company. They don't have to buy blanks from anybody else, so that helps out quite a bit. How many fish would I say I've caught on a spent Scout? I've caught several. You know, I don't know. I don't keep track of every fish I catch on a bait, but I've caught several in a day. That's a really good bait. And if you watched my re-upload from a live stream, that's a good deal. Feather on a jerkbait rod or not? I do not use a feather on a jerkbait. And I'll give you a quote from Kevin Van Dam. If it comes with a feather on it and it's a jerkbait, it doesn't need to be in my boat. If that's how KVD feels, who am I to argue with him? So, anyway, let's go over a few other things. They got a great company that sent me a lot of spinnerbaits. And spinnerbaits are a great cold water bait that gets overlooked quite a bit. This company is called Angler Assets. They're out of Illinois. And I know the owner very well. He's a great guy. And he watches YouTube and all that. So he sent me some samples of some spinnerbaits to show off. And I may, if you pay attention to my social media, look me up on Instagram, Facebook, I may just do a giveaway of some Angler Assets. And this is what he calls the Profit Spin. This is a pretty cool color. I don't know how well you can see it right here. Let me adjust this light a little bit. This color is called green plasma. So he does this like called plasma series. So it's a very kind of a transparent style. But that's a little double willow. That's a really good looking spinnerbait and handmade. It's BaxterTheBaitman, Papa. All that social media is linked in the description of all my videos. So that's a green plasma. That's a really good spinnerbait. But what I like is he is one of the best at making what I feel like Colorado blade spinnerbaits. And one thing I do like to do is I like to find some muddy water in the late fall, kind of winter, when it gets warm. And that's when I'll go to stuff like this right here. And this is just a double Colorado Profit Spin, and he's got this little white kicker blade on it. And I really like, I'm going to adjust this light a little bit more. Excuse me. It's got this little white Colorado blade on there. That kind of makes a little bit of a teaser. Got this big teardrop Indiana blade on it as well. Great for dirty cold water. Really, really like these big double Colorado. Makes a lot of thump. I have not fished with the SOB small okie bug. Never even heard of it. But Angler Assets, man, he makes some really, really good stuff. The spinnerbaits are affordable. If you're in the Midwest and you've heard of Shields, Shields carries his products. He's got a new website that's coming out soon, but check out Angler Assets. Handmade spinnerbaits. I love spinnerbaits. One of my favorite techniques, and I kind of got away with it, gotten away from it last few years, but man, in the wintertime, I catch a lot of fish on spinnerbait. Cold water, cold dirty water, it's hard to beat this right here. And you know I love me some purple, and he's even making what he calls the Table Rock Plasma spinnerbait. So this is probably one of the coolest looking spinnerbaits you're going to see right here. Yes, I do put a trailer on my spinnerbaits when it's cold. I use just a little split tail on the back, or I use a chartreuse or a white Zoom Fat Albert, or no, excuse me, tab tail grub. That's my favorite. I know some guys use swim baits, and I do use a swim bait in the spring quite a bit. In that winter, I want that tab tail grub. It gives it a real good pulsing action. Check out this one. I'm going to have to hold these away from the light. I get too close to the light, kind of distorts the color. But that is Table Rock Plasma, so I like that. That's a little bit different. It's more subtle to chartreuse and white, but you still get the color into it. I know the skirt color works. I fished it for a couple years now. Crush one right here. But check out anglersassets.com. Look him up on Facebook. Great guy. His name is Robert Danielson. Makes awesome spinnerbaits. All handmade, made in the USA. Great dude. So, who knows? Follow me on social media. We may do a giveaway. I'm at 8,200 subscribers right now, which is very small in the YouTube world, as we all know. But that's a half ounce, Chris. But I'd love to get to 10,000, and I will do a huge giveaway. You know, I'd love to give away $400 or $500 of stuff. We could get to 10,000 subscribers. So make sure you share the channel out to your buddies and all that. All right, I'm going to answer a few questions. If I only had one lure right now to throw, which lure would that be? I'm going to crank. Even if it's the winter, I'm going to crank, and I'll show you guys that, or I'm going to throw a swim bait. Let's see, I'm going down here looking at comments. Have I ever used baits from Apostle Lures? No, I have not heard of Apostle Lures. Man, y'all gonna have to find some companies that are a little more mainstream, or either I'm gonna have to step my game up. I'm gonna get into jigs here in a second. So honestly, I don't think it matters hand tied or rubber collar. I think you're wasting money if you're paying for a hand tied. The only reason I would pay for that is if it just come on the jig. Now I like them, don't get me wrong, but I think rubber collars are a quick, simple fix. It's a lot easier when you're down there in the boat and skirt messes up. Just put another one on. Hand tied, if stuff starts coming out of them, then you're kind of screwed there. I like dirty jigs pretty well. I don't really have a hardcore favorite. You know, I like some of these I'm fixing to show you. I like the Moyna Rock jigs, probably my favorite football jig of all time. When do I use an Indiana blade? So that's a good question. This is an Indiana blade. For you guys that don't know, is this one right here on the back. The top, and this is really more like a dual Indiana blade. A Colorado is really round, but I like the Indiana blade when you want vibration and speed. So you can reel this bait a little bit faster than you can a double Colorado. Double Colorado is going to thump, and it's going to have a lot of vibration, but you can't reel it very fast. Whereas the Indiana blade, you're going to get a little bit more flash. You're still going to get some vibration, and you'll get thump. But you can reel a little bit faster than that double Colorado. Really like the Indiana blade. Good hybrid. Alright, so I got some more stuff, and it kind of ties in with what we're doing tonight. And I do not like rubber skirts at all, period. I know some guys like them, but I'm not a big fan. I just use silicone. If I'm going to use a rubber skirt in the winter, it's going to be flat. But anyway, Beast Coast Tungsten sent me a ton of these right here. And these are jigs, obviously. Since we're talking about jigs, I might as well talk about this. The balls, they roll. Guys, I kind of want to stay on topic to cold weather bass, and instead of getting a bunch of crazy questions about random things, because that's just how I roll, because I can make that work. And then I'll come back and answer your questions later. So anyway, this is from Beast Coast Tungsten. What's up, Levi? I got the Grinch, by the way. And this is their tungsten football jig. And the reason I say this is a great winter jig is it's very compact, it's very thin, and this tungsten gives you a very small profile. Now, when I fish a jig in the winter, I'm either going to go a really big jig, which this one right here is probably one of my favorites. I'm going to get it for you, if I don't stick myself. If I can reach it. Somebody asked what my favorite jig is. This is it right here. So I'm either going to go a really big profile. This is my Jim Moyna rock jig. You notice there is no weed guard. That is my favorite color skirt of all time. That is called Baxter's Bug. Or I'm going to go with a very small profile. I'm sure you guys can see the difference even on the head on that. That tungsten's a whole lot smaller. So big, or I'm going to go finesse. And what's cool about this jig, it's got a really light wire hook. The light wire hook allows for you to get away with a little bit. You can go to lighter line. You don't have to go to super stiff, crazy rod, and that hook is going to penetrate really easy. And the reason I like that is in the winter and cold water, those bites are really subtle, really finesse. Well, Mike, you can't get pork anymore. And that's a problem. There's one thing I did like in the winter was using a pork trailer, but now this is just like a little bruiser baits trailer. I use this a lot. Pack across, those are great. Berkeley Max Scent is a really good option to the pork trailer. But use whatever trailer you have confidence in a jig. Now, with these finesse style jigs, I opt for a little bit smaller, skinnier profile than I would, on a bigger football jig. But Beast Coast Tungsten sent me a ton of jigs, and I want to appreciate them. And they sent me a bunch of other stuff. Do you think color head, where pros keep saying don't worry about? No, it does not matter the color head. You paint them if you want to. If you don't want to paint them, whatever. So they sent me a bunch of other stuff, and this is one of their new baits, and I told them I'd talk about it. And it is a flipping jig, and I know we're talking about cold weather, but somebody said best jig for flipping a log jam. Well, here's you a great jig, especially during the winter. A very compact jig, great for flipping a log jam. And this is the G-Spro Battle Flip from Beast Coast Tungsten. You see how very compact that jig is, like in my hand there. So it's not big and bulky, but one thing's cool is this jig. You see this weed guard is really wide. It has a double wide weed guard. That's going to allow this bait to go in and out of cover really, really easy. All you got to do is pair this up with your favorite trailer. Go flip your favorite log jam, and you'll catch some fish. I do trim my weed guards some, but companies have kind of gotten smart now. They know that guys trim their weed guards. So like this bait, I wouldn't trim that at all. That's perfect. And I like how wide it is. It instead of super thick, it's super wide, so it can deflect better. But that's a great bait from Beast Coast. They're making some really good jigs now, especially all their tungsten jigs. And I hate to get on a jig tangent here. This is another jig. This is called the Assault AP Flip. So you got this big beefy hook right here. No, I do not. I use the same rod and setup in the winter as I do in the summer. Now I may use a finesse jig a little bit more and go down to a shorter rod and a little bit shorter rod and a lower power. But for the most part, I would use that same rod during the summer. I'm going to use the same line. I may go down from 17 to 15 pound test, but one thing I like about Beast Coast on these jigs is the tinsel in the skirt. I've always been kind of a big fan of that. I don't know if it does anything other than make cool looking skirts, but man, I have a lot of success on that Baxter's Bug skirt, and I've been using this for years, and it's always had that tinsel in there. If you can see it lays down, gives it a little bit of extra flash in the water. Whether that really makes a difference or not, I don't know. But I can tell you that it makes these Beast Coast jigs look awesome. And they've got tons of tungsten jigs, which I find very interesting. Like this is their Vanquish flipping jig. And this is a 1/2 ounce jig, but look how small that head is compared to. This is the G-Spo Battle Flip, which is shorter skirt, and this is a tungsten 1/2 ounce. So one thing I was going to tell guys in the wintertime, those tungsten jigs are deadly. They're real small, especially those little Kitech tungsten jigs, and they are worth. They're expensive. They're $5-6, but man, they're worth it. You can go down to really light 8-10 pound line and fish a 3/8 1/2 ounce football jig. It's only about that big. Just really good baits. I like fishing those on deep clear impoundments like Dell Hollow, Smith Lake, stuff like that. So let's get into another bait, and I get to show you a new product. And that's from Owner Hooks, and this is a simple product. This is new from Owner Hooks. You know, this is just a little ball head, and this thing is deadly in the winter in cold water on this bait right here. This is the Kitech 3.3. So you got this nice ball head, and you rig it up on this little Kitech 3.3. And that, my friends, will catch you a bunch of janks in the winter. There's a reason they call FLW the Kitech Tour, because this little setup right here has probably cashed more checks than anything else. That's just, I believe that's a 1/4 ounce ball head, and that's a Kitech 3.3 and light hitch. I'm going to throw this on really light setup, like 8 pound fluorocarbon with a braid leader. That leader is going to be about 20 to 25 pound braid, 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon. The clearer the water, the lighter I'm going to go. The colder the water, the lighter. And I really like throwing this little setup right here. This is going to get you a lot of bites from big fish, small fish, non-aggressive fish. The good thing is the Kitechs are really cheap. You can get like a big pack for $5.99. I don't know if these ball heads are available yet. You can check Tackle Warehouse, but I know they'll be available at the first of the year. They sent me that. Now, you can also go up if you want to go to, you know, a little bit bigger. You want to go to a 3/8. I know a lot of guys that will actually throw a single 3/8. I like the 3.3 just a little bit better. And this is an even heavier Owner ball head, and it's got this little keeper right here. And I really like this. Because it's going to keep your bait on there without having to use any glue. And this is one of my favorite colors too. This is electric shad. These things got the little hook in the back. You don't want a big, long, giant swim bait hook in these. You want these finesse light wire hooks. That is a kill. All I do is throw that out there. Now this is heavy. This one's like 3/8, maybe even a half. I just throw it out there and reel it really, really slow. I mean, you're almost dragging this little Kitech on the bottom. And a good way to see how this thing works is look up the FLW show from Lake Lanier. Zach Burge is throwing a very finesse swim bait like this and crushing them. All it has is a little quarter-ounce jig head, really light fluorocarbon line on a spinning rod. Then he switched to a bait caster and crushed some Spot Zillas on Lanier on this little setup right here. Just the small swim bait and ball head. But my personal preference, 3-3 Kitech. This is a new color. It's called Light Hitch. I'm going to stick to my shad colors for the most part. I'm not going to get too far away from that. Electric shad, rainbow shad, stuff like that. That's going to be my go-to swim bait in cold weather. It's Jaints, Jaints. I know some guys have been commenting Janks and Jaunts. Jaints is spelled Jaints. If you want a Jaints t-shirt, I've got some made. Just click the link in my description. So that's probably one of my top cold weather baits right there. Now, I did get some new owner Nico hooks, and this is what these look like right there. This is the new Nico hook. Those are coming out in January. They're made of Zowire, which is awesome. Now let's get on. Also talk about swim baits a little bit more. Maybe you don't want to go so finesse in the winter. One thing you want to do is you want to be able to reel swim bait really, really slow in the winter. It's hard to beat this guy right here. That's the Babe. And guess what? Log on to 3ffishing.com. They have every color in stock except their new color, which is Tennessee Shad. But this dude right here will get munched in the wintertime. The best part about the Babe is it's best when reeled really, really slow. And then in that cold water, you will catch fish on it. You got to be patient. You're going to have to count this thing down. The harness version takes a while to sink. I'm going to go back through some comments as soon as I get done with swim baiting. So if you got any questions, just go ahead and drop them. But this right here, the Babe, is back in stock. I know guys have been asking. I get comments, when's it coming back? 3ffishing.com, the makers of the Babe. They have their own online website, and they'll ship you the Babe directly. Because they're not selling to shops anymore. They're selling directly through their own online store. So just log on to 3ffishing.com. Yeah, some guys put a swim bait on a swim jig. I won't swim jig in the winter as much as I will the fall. Alright, so, but another good way to fish is like a harness rig. This is a Scottsboro 6-inch line through. Harness rig gives you that open hook for more exposure. For the most part in the winter, you're not going to be beating the bank. You're going to be kind of over some deep water, and you can get away with that harness system. You can fish this really, really slow. It doesn't have to be a Scottsboro, but a bigger swim bait, I go with the harness system in the winter. I just feel like you're going to get more. If you want a big bite, this is the way to go. Now, I don't have any of the small ones, but this is a Zoom swimmer. It's just like a Bass Tricks, and I've got a light wire hook on there. This is a 3/4 ounce head, really light wire hook, but man, I catch a lot of fish on the 4-inch version of the Zoom swimmer in the winter. Now you're going to have a little bit more thump on the tail on this swim bait compared to the ones I just showed you, but you get the exposed jig head, so you should have a really good hookup ratio. But I do like the 4-inch better in the wintertime than I like this 5-inch Zoom swimmer. Plus, these hold up really, really well. I'm going to fish these around deep points. I'm going to fish these on creek channel swings, bluff walls, parallel them. Really good place for swim bait. And most guys don't want something super aggressive. This will get bites a lot when you have those warming trends in cold weather. That's when I'll pull this thing out right there, and these fish start eating up on any of the shad that have gotten aggressive. That's when they'll eat this guy right here. So let me answer some questions here, and then we'll keep going down the list. I do have to work tonight, so rattles or no rattles in the winter, I don't pay attention to that. That's a good question. Personally, I don't use any rattles hardly ever any time of the year. Do I ever try the swim bait on regular jigs? Yes, the Babe, they make a non-harness version. It's great. I use a 10-aught owner beast hook, or I use a special made 3/4 ounce swim bait head, 8-aught hook. Let's see here. Not for braid to fluorocorrelator. I use golly, what's that knot? I use the RP knot. You look up RP knot Brent Ayler on YouTube to how to tie that. I still have a little bit of trouble with it, but the good thing is once you get that knot tied, it ain't coming off. And so I'll make my later just a little bit longer in case I break off. But RP knot is awesome. That's kind of my favorite. Some guys use the Alberto. I like the RP knot. It's pretty easy to tie once you figure it out. I still have to watch a video every now and then because I always miss a step, but that's my favorite braid fluorocarbon knot. Let's see here. Do you have any of the 45-degree Ned rig heads? No, I sure don't. Get inside, too cold. Let's see here. Ever heard of Bass Magic swim baits? Yes, I have. Those were made by Lucky Strike at one time. They were a great swim bait. But I'm going to tell you guys, those are the same mold as the Strike King Shadowlicious. So, if you like the Bass Magic, the Shadowlicious is the same thing. Yeah, Kyle, I have used spinner baits made by Slong's Fishing Lures. Matter of fact, I've got some hanging up here. Great guy. Sean Long is an awesome dude. I've known him since he started out. He started making striper lures, actually. Great spinnerbait. Is it that better than the Unity? Personally, I really like it. RP knot, simple, strong. It's really small. It goes through the guides very well. Demiki rigs work as good on lakes like Kentucky Lake, or is that an East Tennessee deal? For right now, it's an East Tennessee deal. I do know vertical fishing works on Kentucky Lake. Not tried the Demiki rig, but drop shot in the winter does catch them, and I really like vertical fishing. This guy right here, you cannot talk about winter fishing unless you're going to talk about that right there. This sucker, this is just a Hopkins Shorty spoon. Nothing fancy. This is a 1/2 ounce. I would really like to get over top of the bait fish and video game them on the Lowrance Humminbird Garmin. I'm a Lowrance guy, by the way. This right here will catch them. And they put such cheap hooks on these spoons. I mean, these are terrible. Here's what I'll do. Guys that change out hooks on something decent like a rattle trap, any of their crankbaits, save your decent crankbait hooks like off a 5XD or 6XD, then put them on the back of these spoons that have the cheapest hooks known to man, and at least put something decent on there. Get vertical and video game them on these small spoons. War Eagle makes an awesome spoon. Probably Hopkins, there's several companies. Nichols makes a Ben Parker spoon that's a real heavy one. The Mojo spoon as well. That's when I want to get straight above. You can drop shot and all that, but I feel I catch better fish on this spoon. Now, I catch a variety of fish from white bass to largemouth to smallmouth, but man, this bite's really, really fun. Probably one of the best baits for cold water bassing right here. Let's see, I'll answer a few more questions. 8 to 10 inch or 8 to 10 foot leader length. I like my leader from the length of the rod tip to the bell of my spinner reel. I don't want it down there in the bell when I'm casting. Let's see, smallmouth jig fishing setup. That's a good question. I'd have to dig through my jig box, but let's see what I got here. No, I can't show that. I'll get in trouble if I show that. I'm gonna have to do I'll have to do a jig fishing show. Let's see if I got a good smallmouth jig. I don't think I do. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't change my smallmouth to my largemouth jig. I mean, I throw a football jig, Baxter's bug quite a bit. I do like a finesse jig a lot, like a round ball jig if I want to target a smallmouth, or I like those little small profile football jigs. Like at Del Hollow, I like that Kitech football jig, or just I'll take a football jig and I'll trim it a little bit, and I'll make it not as bulky. And this is a really very similar to what I'm going to throw if I'm targeting smallmouth, and that's that Beast Coast football jig. Get real simple on the trailer. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm just going back by questions. How I like the Styx rod, Brian. I like them pretty well. To be honest, $100. I'm not going to get too much better than that for the price. Float and fly, that's going to be a Del Hollow, East Tennessee deal. I don't even mess with it. Heck yeah, Charles Silver Buddy is an awesome, awesome bait in the winter. Yep, 6-inch swim jigs, they're great, man. I've got some on my wall right here. Really, 6-inch makes a lot of really, really good stuff. They got a bunch of new stuff coming as well. Let's see. Man, if you can get away with light line like 6-pound tests, go for it. Water temps down here, that's a good question, Lady Bass. Thanks for joining in as well. They've been in the low 70s to 60s, but we've had cold fronts come in. It is below freezing right now, so the water temps have really took a spike. I would say next week they'll be in the low 50s to high 40s if these temperatures keep up. So I bet you have some great cold weather baits from where you're from, and I would love to hear what they are. So my cold water setup's definitely going to be different than someone that fishes up north a lot. Number one, their stuff freezes quite quicker. Our lake doesn't really freeze it over very much. But anyway, so I'll get on with what we're going. Someone mentioned Ned rigs. I like this guy right here. This is the VMC Finesse head, and it's got this little wire weed guard, and I like it quite a bit. Also, obviously, you can see I've used it. It's been tied on. And this is the Robo Worm. I love the Robo Ned. This is the little 3.5-inch one, and it does float, believe it or not. I get real simple. When you're not getting bites, it's hard to pass down a Ned. And honestly, I could put this on spring, on summer, and fall. But a lot of guys fish this Ned in the winter, and they fish it extremely slow on really light 4-6 pound line and move it at the speed of smell. You can smell the bait before you get it in. That's how fast they're reeling this thing. It's always hard to beat the Z-Man plastics, and there's so many different varieties. There's the big TRD, there's the TRD crawls, but for the most part, we're going to stick with just the Ned. And I really love the Robo Neds. So if you got a chance, log on Tackle Warehouse, order some of these. You know, Black Friday is next Friday, and I think we should do Tackle Tuesday, and we'll talk about what we're going to order for Black Friday. Of course, I'm poor, so I'm not ordering nothing, but I will recommend stuff for you guys to order on Black Friday from the web. You know, the Ned's kind of taken place of the shaky head for some guys, which is sad, but I do throw a shaky head in the winter quite a bit. I was looking for all my shaky head stuff, and I really couldn't find it, but this is a great winter bait right here. This is the Cinco, and I like to rig it on what I call the Dinko rig, which is a really small shaky head, ball head on this thing right here. See if I can find one real quick. Oh, if you're gonna go winter, you better have a finesse box. This G finesse box from Gamakatsu, that's the real deal. I've got so much stuff up here. I'll knock something over. That's the cool thing about those Gamakatsu or Bass Mafia boxes. I can just beat them up. So I'm going to show you a great wintertime rig. Wrong box. We'll try again. Just where I kept those in there. I'm going to show you how I rig the Dinko rig. I've got so much crap. It's organized. Alright, so I'm going to get really finesse right here. This is an 1/8 ounce shaky head. This is made by Picasso. This is my favorite. This is called the Shakedown. It's got a little bitty spring. Take me a Cinco, whatever is your favorite color. I like this color quite a bit, and I'll throw green pumpkin and several variations. Take my little screw. Now we'll screw the flat end of the Cinco up here. And these little Picasso screws, sometimes it takes a bit to get started because it's a really small one. Screw that up there. Whatever side color you want on the belly. I'm going to take my little shaky head, pinch my Cinco, and come through there. Going to be nice and straight. Maybe to expose it. Bluff walls, deep docks, right there will catch you some fish. And I call that the Dinko rig because you're going to catch a lot of dinks on this right here. But you can catch a lot of fish. And there's something weird about when this thing falls on the shaky head. It gets a real weird spiral action. And then when it sits there on the bottom, it just kind of lays there. You know, it's not going to stand up or anything. But you get a good little action, almost a glide when this thing falls. It's pretty crazy. And that is called the Dinko rig. When it gets really tough, you can catch them on it. And say, you know, good thing about Cinco, maybe I want that thing a little bit smaller. And I can just, boom, I can make it smaller. I can just put you know, the tail section right there. Maybe I don't want a Ned style. Maybe I just want to drag it on the bottom. A lot of guys do this, you know, before the Ned came out, that's what guys used was like 4-inch Cincos. It's actually how the Ned bait was made. And then you put your little Dinko rig right there. So now you got basically a weedless Ned. Whatever. But that's something I use quite a bit in the winter, and when it's really tough is that little Dinko rig. You'll get bites. And you'll catch some good ones. Let's see. I fish that really slow. I might do some short hops and then let it sit on slack line. I like to fish that around deep points and bluffs, actually. Those bluff walls, and same is another great place that I throw this forgotten about bait in the winter is a grub. That was a green pumpkin. That was a watermelon with a chartreuse belly. That's a laminate color. I like Dudley's stand-up shaky head jig. It doesn't stand up all the time, but I like the hook in it. It's got a great hook. And this bait's been forgotten about. And that right there is the grub. And this will catch a lot of fish in the winter. And this is a Yamamoto single tail. And then here's the Yamamoto double tail grub. Really, really like the double tail. So this is the 5-inch. This is a lot bigger one. This is just a single tail. When it gets really cold, I'm talking frozen temperatures, and when I'll go to the grub, you're almost fishing an oversized crappie bait. But those old school guys in East Tennessee, places around Center Tennessee, Center Hill, Tim's Ford, places like that, they'll swear by these grubs in winter. Guys up north fish a grub quite a bit in cold water. Personally, I used to throw them on a football jig, but for spotted bass and smallmouth, I catch a lot on this double tail. Just put them on your favorite ball head, whatever your favorite grub hook is. You could put them on this owner right here. I do like the grub in stained water, clear water. The clearer the water, the clearer grub. This is like a smoke green, which that works about anywhere. This root beer pepper green, I like that around here locally. But I'm going to go real natural on my grub colors. Going to be very versatile. Yeah, man, I like it too. That's a great winter bait too. Lose, I'm going to answer some questions, go back through here. I've got about 15 minutes. I got to go to work, and we'll talk more stuff on Tackle Tuesday next week, and we'll talk about things to buy for Black Friday. Let's see. Has the Kitech style swim baits took the place of fishing grubs in the winter? That's a legit comment, and I think for the most part, that's very true. Depending on where you're at in the country, the Clearwater impoundments of the south, yes. Up north, I don't know if that's true or not. The grub is really popular. Some lakes, the fish in the winter really seem to stay on the bottom. And for those lakes that think the grub's better, for the lakes that those fish suspend, I think the Kitech has taken its place. Can you use a topwater frog in the winter? Yeah, if you're in Florida or Mexico. And I'll be honest, I don't stop throwing top water till that water gets below 55 degrees. And matter of fact, here on Kentucky Lake, you can catch them when it's 50 degrees. Well, I'm not going to have a Black Friday sale because I don't sell tackle anymore. But Tackle Warehouse is going to, 20% off. So head over there. They got everything you need. They don't pay me or nothing, but you know, if I was going to shop, that's where I'd go. Let's see. Spy bait and cold weather, that's really good. When is the hardy time of year? I'm going to say hardest time. Honestly, for me, the hardest time of the year fishing is the summer to fall transition is really tough. Choice for a large pond with jaints that has clear water and a lot of coontail and pads. Main force, sunfish, crappie, and crawfish. I would throw a big swim jig. Yeah, get you a big 6-cent Divine swim jig. Put you a big Zoom Ultra Vibe speed crawl on the back. That'll catch it. All right, I'm going to keep going to questions. Joe Reynolds, great question. Is 10XD too big to fish this time of year? No. I fish a 10XD in the winter a lot. So we've talked a lot about finesse baits, but I'm going to grab my 10XD box, if I can, wherever it is. Maybe I've lost it. But a 10XD is not too big to fish in the winter. It's actually a great technique. I think I found it. So this is my 10XD box, my summer and winter box. Now, Joe, this is the color I use in the winter quite a bit. This is a big old crankbait. This is going to run 25 plus. I like throwing this on a 10-pound line in the wintertime and an 8-foot cranking stick. And sometimes you'll grab these big balls of bait on the deep ledges, creek channels out here on Kentucky Lake, and you can get down there with this 10XD and you will wreck fish because they're not used to seeing this in the winter. The Z-Boss 25 is really good as well. I've got some college friends that were catching bass in 30 feet on Sam Rayburn on this right here in the winter 8-pound line. Now, if you want the one that really gets down there, That's the 25 Cloud Crush. That's a good winter color. I love that Shad Sense color. That's one of my favorites. But there is a time and a place for a 10XD in the winter, and matter of fact, that place is on my boat. Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. The line size doesn't matter around the submerged trees. Your bait's going to get hung up no matter what, whether you use 17 or 10. The heavier line's just going to keep it from breaking off. The problem is when you use real heavy line, your bait's not going to get down there to the depth you want it to. 17 pound on a 10XD, it won't even run 20 foot a lot of the times. But you can get down to 12, 14, and you could be okay depending on the diameter of the line. Or go to braid. You can go to braid, and it will help you get a lot of that depth, and you'll get some more strength, Joe. I'll answer a few more questions here. Yes, Richard picked out their subscription program. It's pretty cool. I'm hoping to do some work with 6th Sense and maybe have a Baitman box featuring baits from 6th Sense. Got to talk to the man Casey over there. Got a BD shad from there for $9.99. Man, BD shad, man, I wouldn't. It's probably worth $4. If you're going to buy a bull shad, buy a bull shad. Support Mike Buka, American-made product. No offense to Boy Duckett, but I'm not a big knockoff bait company. So those, you know, Casteak's best bait is their original Jerky J, not all the stuff they're knocking everybody else with. All right, let's see here. Can you use worms in the winter? Yes, you can. I like a trick worm. I like a finesse worm and sink. That's awesome, Zach. That's good. That's good to know that, man. The Chapo isn't a knockoff? No, it's not, actually. Did you know the River to Sea Whopper Plopper is a knockoff of a Top Raider? They've all modified their baits to be different. The BD Shad's an absolute knockoff of a bull shad. And the fact that I know that the reason... I know some stuff. I don't want to go into detail about YouTube. And I like Boyd. He's a good dude. But the design of that bait didn't come out of nowhere. Didn't even try to be different. They just basically made a plastic version of a bull shad. Let's see. Can you store Kitex in Plano boxes? They take up a lot of room in the boat. Yes, you can. Or use a Bass Mafia money bag, which is one of my favorite ways. I really just keep them in the package like this. That's how I store them. Of course, I'm storing them on back here. Would you buy a box or two from 6th Sense? If you do a box, I will tell friends. I'll talk to Casey, see if we can't do a special. I know they got a bunch of new products out. They're coming out, so I've kind of been waiting on that. Tyler, great question. Scrounger heads in the winter? Yes. I throw a very light scrounger head, like a 1/4, 3/8, and I'll put a small fluke on the back. Not a super fluke, but the super fluke junior. I've crushed them on that. Let's see. Man, I got so much stuff to go over, but man, I have so little time. Now, one other thing about crankbait, 10XD, I went really big. I'll go really small. This is a Bandit 200. One of my favorite winter crankbaits right here. Catch a ton of fish. And there's not a lot of crankbaits out there that can really replace the Bandit 200. I like this because if I want to fish shallow, 3-4 foot, I can cover it. If I want to get in that 6, 7, 8 foot range, lighten my line up, and I can do it with the Bandit 200. Just an excellent, excellent bait right here. Caught so many fish in the wintertime with it. I'm not sure. I actually think Guggen Baits is pretty original. The only thing they copied was the Ragetail flange, and they licensed that from Ragetail. As far as the design of the baits, I think they're pretty original. I don't have any allegiance to them. You know, I don't sell Guggen Baits or anything, but from what I know about that, I think they did a pretty good job of making their own original stuff. Let's see. KVD flat side, that's a good bait. KVD 1.5 flat, awesome crankbait. Speaking of, I got something nobody else has got. This is the Rattle Trap MR6. Oh baby, lavender shad. I've been throwing this. This will catch them. This is any of your DT6 style baits are great in the winter. This one's going to catch them really, really well. It's going to be even better in the spring, but you might want to go ahead and pre-order these from Tackle Warehouse. They're going to get hard to get as soon as they become available. Pre-order them on Black Friday. Then you save 20%. Boom. So that right there is really good. Bomber Flat A. Man, I can go on about cranking in the winter. That's probably my favorite technique, is to throw crankbait. And it keeps me warm because I'm constantly moving all the time. Throwing a swim bait's good too. But when it gets really tough, that's when I slow down. That goes about 6 to 8 foot, big red bass. And I'll see if I'm going to upload some more videos this week. I love the live stream. Tennessee Killer Flat Side. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. This is one of my favorite flat sides in the winter. If I can get this off the shelf here. They don't make this bait anymore. This is a Rapala DT Flat. Silver shad color. Why is the Bomber Flat A with the Mark Davis signature on the side such a hard find? Bobby, how many of them you want? I can get them for you. That's an awesome crankbait. I'll explain that. But DT Flat 7, one of my favorite flat side crankbaits in the winter for sure. These are discontinued. I paid some good money for these right here. So craft series of baits was available exclusively in like Walmart and Kmart's, and that's why they were hard to get. They basically didn't go over very well, and they started discounting them out places. You could even get them in Kroger stores. And then all of a sudden people realized, man, those are really good, and I can't get them anymore. But the prices went down quite a bit. You can still find them in places. I've got a stock of them, and I have a place where to get them. All right. Yes, I love the Berkeley Dredger cranks. I've got some right here behind me. Great baits. Great baits. They make a different sound too. Let's see. How about after Black Friday, I think we just need to do a winter crankbait show. That would work awesome. Let's see. What was the name of that crank? That was a Rapala DT Flat. Thanks, Lunker Hunter. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're going to do a Black Friday, what you need to buy. And somehow I'll figure out how we're going to do that, how we can cruise the laptop and talk about what we're going to get for Black Friday. Let's see, what else do I got here? I don't really have much else to talk about, but I'm just glad to get back up on YouTube Live. I appreciate everybody, so make sure you mash that thumbs up button for me. Yeah, make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me, share the video. I'm going to create some polls. I've got the videos done with Vexus boats, skipping jigs, topwater, rattle trap, MR6. But a lot of those are with the pros. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. The pros are a lot better on camera than me. So I'll have a new playlist, you know, Baitman tips with the pros. And hopefully we'll get more stuff. I got about a 30-minute video with the demo on a Vexus boat that hopefully I can finish tomorrow and get uploaded. What is my favorite crankbait rod? Man, I've got 3 right now. I've got a Loomis 959 Double D that's my 8 to 10XD style crankbaits. I've got a dial with 7 foot to 2 Elite Takahiro rod I love for throwing square bills. And then I got a 7 foot MHX 843 CB or something like that. It's a graphite blend rod, and it was custom made. Dude, it's my favorite wigglewort style Little John rod. I've not found anything close, but the Styx 3-power utility rod is very similar, and that Styx utility rod's a great cranking rod. I really like the action on the Styx regular cranking rod. It's really good. So, well, guys, I have got to get ready for work. My kids just got home. I'd love to see my kids before I go to work. Y'all need to meet Brooks, the Baitman Jr. He's awesome. But hey, guys, follow me on social media. All my links are down in the description on the video. I do a lot of stuff on Facebook. I do a live show on Thursday nights, and I'll probably do that this Thursday. And we'll talk about a topic. I may just do winter cranking over there, upload it here on Facebook, and sometimes I have guests and whatnot. So I got to get ready. I'm going to go to work, take a shower, see my kids. Thank you guys so much for joining on Tackle Tuesday. I probably didn't get as in depth as I need to be. Check out partners that check out my partners, Beast Coast Tungsten. Check them out. Anglers Assets, 6 Sense Fishing Lures. They have some great stuff. Make sure you get those new Provoke jerk baits, and check out the Thud 70. That's my favorite lipless right now. So I think they do have some Curve 55s in stock, a great winter crankbait as well. Get on Tackle Warehouse, pre-order the Rattle Trap MR6. Guys, y'all have a safe weekend. Be sure to mash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit that bell for notifications. I'll get some more content out to you. Thank you guys so much.